How's it going, people? Simon Slappy here, and it's been a while, eh? Either way, starting off is Monday, which means update day. Player and house improvements is a thing. That's pretty much the update for today, and essentially it consists of go to any estate agent, either talk to them or right click on them, and you can choose how your house looks. So, but regularly you normally do this little house structure thing, so you got your basic wood, stone, whitewash, etc, etc. That's what we've always had, and now they've also added the ability to change what the grounds look like themselves, as well as how your dungeon looks, and whether or not you want it day, dusk or night inside your house. Yeah, there is that. Also, when you attempt to build a second aquarium or games room, you're now going to be prompted to move your existing one, and you're charged as normal for creating the new room. Loading times apparently have also been improved inside your house when you re-enter, and they've also added the ability to right click on your house portal whilst inside to switch between regular mode and build mode. There's been some fixes to Prifddinas, which we'll get into that, and Solomon's Store has a sale on, so if you like pretty things, there you have it. So, patch notes. Patch notes are pretty long, as they consist pretty much all the updates for Prifddinas at the moment. So, graphic-wise, Colm's model's been updated, an incorrect section of the Taran and Karanin border on the Lowstone network's been snorted. The Blessed Hatchet's model's been updated to better match the standard Myth Hatch. A graphic issue with the Falador Apprentice Workman's been fixed. An issue where the Tox Mej Tal was being held incorrectly in EOC combat has now been fixed. The stretching issue with Xenavivia has also been sorted out. Necryls no longer appear slightly before they play their spawn animation. Players will no longer use the default rune pickaxe or hatchet animation while skilling in the clan citadel. Skill rates will remain unchanged, however. The god statue chisels have had their icons centered, and blisterwood polearms no longer break the inventory icon boundaries. The sheathed positions of the cursed Arab main and offhand swords have also been fixed. Moving on to your skills and minigames, dungeoneering golden rocks can now be obtained from sinkholes. Some unnecessary camera movement when leaving the rune span's been snorted out. An issue where the crime scene viewing orb would not allow players to leave Party Pete versus his neighbour's court case has now been fixed. The tower archers in the ranging guild at Hemister can once again be attacked. Players can no longer make Guthix Rest or Super Guthix Rest potions before the correct stage in one small favour. A typo in the port's mission unlock message for the whaler has been fixed, and the compass is no longer hidden after the tentacle monster event in Temple Dragon. Magic and range creatures in the Fight Kiln are now more resistant to magic damage. Moldark's Treasure Trail Challenge scroll answer now has been altered to compensate for when Edgeville has been half destroyed. Making burial armor will now correctly increase the XP for the first item made after instructions change. Moving on to your quests and your achievements, a typo previously displayed when extending the Corrupted Serenstone Daily Challenge. An issue where players could complete the task Tower Power by watching the Tusker Crash cutscene has been fixed. An incorrect spelling of Zazil Moor in the Toxket Dill quest has been fixed. Several post-quest chat lines with the Statue of Death after missing presumed death have now been fixed. And here we go then, moving on to your Prifddinas changes. Quite a few of these, not gonna lie. Perfect Juju Dungeoneering pots now increase the chances of dropping Dungeoneering journals. The Volcanic Damage Enhancer now works correctly with magic damage. The ability to tune the max skilled skill poles to Purapuro has been added. Velocity now uses shortcuts on the Hef and Agility course. The Enlightenment effect from a light creature familiar will no longer end when receiving a prize from the Hef and Agility course. An issue where the player sometimes disappeared while on the Hef and Agility course zipline has now been fixed. Cutscene mode has been reactivated on the Hef and Agility course while retaining the user interface. The Crewers Clan's compost bin in Prifddinas is now compatible with Generate Compost Scrolls. The Grand Exchange clerks in Prifddinas have now been given a new, fresh blue outfit. The status icon for the Enlightenment effect from a light creature's special ability has now been implemented. Corrupted ore can now be gained from harmonized rocks when using a Sign of the Porter. Black crystals, which act as permanent dark crystals, can now be unlocked by completing Movrin's Special Challenge. Completing Movrin's Special Challenge now earns a free retune of a max skilled portal. Movrin's Special Challenge can now be started once per week by spending Slayer points. Instance versions of the KBD and the KQ now count towards Movrin's Special Challenge. Movrin's Slayer Challenge can now be cancelled correctly, Slayer Challenges can now be cancelled using the Slayer Rewards interface, and Shadow Core Challenges will no longer be issued as a Divination Daily Challenge. A Decanter and Enchanter have been added to the Max Guild. The Max Guild Throne can now act as an altar, which also restores your summoning points. Players sat in the Max Guild Throne provide a prayer point boost for people using the throne as an altar. powerful Edema will now occasionally drop a tuned crystal weapon and armor seeds. The Seren Chisel from God Statue has been coloured correctly. High level divine locations are now more likely to appear in the Melee Resource Dungeon. The Voice of Seren now correctly lights up lamps and icons for the effective clan in Prifddinas across all worlds. Blocking has been added to some rocks in Hletia. Blocking has been added to a section of cliff face between Galapagos Mountains and Hletia. A tile in the Ithel district that made players float slightly has now been fixed. The harp audio in the Ithel district stays in tune for longer. Regular songs now resume when Ithel harps fall 100% out of tune. The Dwarf Multicannon is now forbidden within Prifddinas. And crystal weapons, armor, as well as tools now correctly degrade at half the usual rate within Prifddinas. So, a few things. Right, moving on to your miscellaneous stuff then. The aura timer on the buff bar will now stay in sync with the aura's actual remaining time. It's probably helpful. Other players' followers will no longer have any left click options. Good. The dismiss now option on the follower details window now dismisses without needing confirmation. Players may now open multiple Protean and portable packs at once. Players can now keepsake all pieces and tiers of the Tusker Warpriest gear. A limit has been added between how close a player can place portable skilling stations of the same type. Portable skilling locations can no longer be placed on top of clan Vexiliums. Players can once again infuse pouches while having some summoning ingredient in their Beast of Burden inventory. A herald has been appointed by the townsfolk of Ashdale. Find him by the lodestone spreading the news. Mysterious meteorites will no longer drop bones when despawning. Familiars now deal less damage to Legio Tertius whilst he is being healed by the Capsarius. Missing information about Virago's attacks have been added to your beast interface. Good times. Corrected the examine text on the red rocks in the Nemi Forest. Werewolves in Canifis are once again using the correct drop table in wolf form. Wizard Elris will now notify the player if they've already shown her a particular talisman. Hooded and retro skill capes are now removed from players who undertake relevant skill resets with Nastroth. Audio has been added for swapping tabs in the high scores tab of the community interface. A new sound effect now plays when a loot beam appears over relevant drops. Private chat settings no longer revert to default when hopping between a regular world and a legacy only world. An issue where it was possible to chop a dead swamp tree near the Barrows minigame from the wrong side of the wall have now been fixed. Players can now correctly hide and unhide quest icons from the world map. An issue where the wilderness wall was missing a tile of blocking has now been fixed. A force walk tile has been removed east of Ubiusk Portal. Several force walk tiles around the Gnome Stronghold have now been removed. Force walk tile in the Edgeville Fairy Ring has been removed. Force walk tile east of the Drainer Lodestone has also been removed. Several force walk tiles near the Sears Village Hops patch has also been removed. Quite a few then. Entering another player-owned house with building mode options selected no longer prevents access to Familiar's inventory. The Rosethorn Wand no longer functions as a melee weapon, probably a good thing. A Sign of Life Examine message no longer cut short in the chat window. The Zeppelin companion pet has now been renamed to Drakefire Warship. Calling or dismissing a pet via the Familiar Options button on the action bar now updates the right-click menu correctly. Players will no longer get stuck unable to withdraw noted items under rare circumstances. An issue with some previous seasonal high score tiles getting muddled in the tiles interface have now been sorted out. Unobtainable tiles from previous seasonal high scores have now been hidden. The Puzzle Hunter and the late title previews have been corrected. Players can once again attack other players in your player-owned house combat room, and the Grand Exchange buttons on active buy and sell offers will no longer appear to be active. And last but not least, we got ourselves some ninja fixes. So players carrying the Demonic Skull can now be attacked by and retaliate against any combat level PKers. Multi-way and single-way combat still functions as usual. The Major Zamorak will no longer teleport teleblocked players. Eventually. Araxor and Araxi now have a health bar similar to the Beastmaster Durzag and Yakamaru fights. Signs of the Portal will now send items to the bank with a full inventory when mining regular ores, limestone, granite, bane ore, crystal or red sandstone. Also while you're fishing, also while stealing phoenix feathers. Beast of Burden can now be trusted to carry items with a value of 5 mil or below, increased from the cap of 50k. The option that is activated by left clicking the summoning button on the top level UI found on the action bar for EOC users and the minimap for legacy users now has 3 separate settings, one each for familiars, pets and legendary pets. The pet option is the configuration for any non-legendary pet. This feature means it's easier to swap between your trusty Pack-Yak and just your pal while you're running about. Having items on the action bar and in the Beast Burden but not in the backpack will no longer highlight the action bar. Players can now use the alchemy spells with the loot window open. Making overload potions will no longer produce an extra vial. Abyssal familiars that have entered combat can now correctly store essence. Clan Vexilliums placed in the stands at the clan camp and Berthel will persist for 30 minutes unattended to advertise a clan while the owner is fiddling about elsewhere. And that, ladies and gents, is pretty much it. So that is your Monday update. Lots of patches, very little update. There we go. Either way, that was your Monday. You've all been informed and I will catch you all later. Have a good one.